The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, I will go ahead and get started. I know people are still coming in, but I just have a couple housekeeping items that I will run through real quickly, and then we'll go ahead and get it going. So first off, just want to remind everyone that this webinar will be recorded. Everyone will receive the recording within 24 hours of the webinar, so feel free to share that around with anyone you might want to see what we discussed today or any other users of Timeslips. Everyone is going to be muted on entry just so that we can get through our content, but if you do have questions, we do encourage you to put those in the chat as well as put them in the Q&A or chat section, and then we'll get to those either throughout the presentation or we'll save them towards the end. The only last thing I wanted to cover is we do have a handout as well that is in here. So in the handout section of here, you can go ahead and download that. That'll give you links to all the relevant resources that we have included within this deck and also within our presentation today. So we do encourage that. And so with that, I will go ahead and hand this over to our presenters today, which are Desi Williams and Tani, to talk about Timeslips Tech Talk, Unearthing the Hidden Gems in Sage Timeslips.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm Desi Williams. I'm the sales engineer for Sage Timeslips. And thank you all for joining us today. This is going to be a demo-heavy presentation, so you'll be able to get an understanding of the features and functionalities that we're talking about. First things first, let's go over our agenda. So our agenda today, we're going to cover the functions and customizations of our navigation options that you have available, creating budgets within Timeslips, our law pay integration, as well as slip triggers and replacement slips, in addition to an internal calendar. So these 5 features and functionalities that we're going to go over, we're going to go into some details in regards to the setup as well as the benefits of each. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And please keep in mind, if you do have questions, feel free to leave those. Any questions that we can't get to, we will answer those questions via email, so don't be shy. All right, so now you should see my Timeslips. All right, so first things first, that's the first thing that we see when we open up Timeslips. It is our navigator. So this, what others may call dashboards, Timeslips refers to as our navigator. This is what we're greeted with as soon as we open. Some users may have a classic dashboard, which I'll show you that here in a moment, but you have multiple navigators and multiple options for your navigator. So this one that I'm using currently, Timeslips comes pre-installed with different navigators for you to utilize. I'm going to come down to our lower left-hand corner here where you see Change Template. This is going to open up your personal preferences, which is going to give you the interface for the navigators. You have when it comes first, it's defaulted on the Office Manager template. However, you can change that template. You have one that's called our Timekeeper, and the Timekeeper is going to be geared towards the individual users. So it's going to have options as far as like their what's going to be pertinent for that individual. So that's going to look more like, once I select, you'll notice that this dashboard has changed, and now it's going to be geared more towards the timekeeper and their individual needs. The timekeepers are going to be more concerned with entering their time, entering their expenses, as well as certain activities for clients. So you're going to notice that each time I select a different template, this navigator is going to change to be detailed for the individual that we're selecting. So, and your needs for a timekeeper are going to be different for a business owner. So if I'm selecting as the business owner, you're going to notice that this template changes. All of these options are going to be easy to maneuver and customize. You'll be able to select options that are pertinent for you as an individual. So you're going to see multiple different interfaces on each selection here. These are going to be more geared towards what a business manager may need to see. They're going to be more concerned about their payments, the status of their business, as well as where their funds lie. So they'll have quick options here on this main dashboard for individual tracking of the company. I'm going to select Change Templates again. Now, if you're someone who's newer to Timeslips, one of the options that I generally will tell users to utilize is something called tutorial. Tutorial mode is going to give you the ability of utilizing a navigator that will have everything you need to get started on the main screen. So for instance, you're going to notice here in our top left-hand corner, this is actually the full process of Timeslips from beginning to end. You are going to build your database, you're going to enter time and expenses, as well as print your bills, and then what's our favorite? Receiving payments. So all of those 4 steps, if you're just getting started with Timeslips, this is going to give you a wonderful interface and easy navigation to get started. You're going to create your new clients, adding in timekeepers, adding your task and expenses, and then where can I go to create Timeslips themselves. And that's going to be easily manageable from this one screen, so you don't have to hunt and peck to find where these options are, especially if you're new to the system.
Okay. Hey, Desi, quick question. If I need to make a change to the navigator, does it change it for everyone else on the network?
That's an excellent question. So no, you do have the ability of all of your preferences are going to be kept on your individual machine. So one good thing about it, because we understand that workflows are going to be different from individual to individual. A workflow that works for me may not work for someone else. So if I'm on my machine, any changes that I make, they're not going to affect anyone on the network. They're able to have their own individual settings from computer to computer, individual to individual.
That's great to know. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. That was a good question. So I am going to return to our Office Manager template, because that's the one that it comes with by default, and this is the one that is most used. Perfect. So Office Manager, I easily changed to that option. And one thing I do also want you to note, I always like to tell individuals, when you see a gear, you click here, because these are going to offer you custom options. So if you would like to see certain information in any of those blocks, once I select for the gear, I can come in and I can select different custom options. I can give it a different title, as you see here. I can tell it when to update. Right now, I'm currently set for just to update every hour, because I'm not going to add a lot of clients within an hour. So, well, if you have that problem, that's a good problem to have. So you are able to change and adjust that, how frequently you would like for that information to update, as well as you can fine tune what it is that you're seeing, because you can add different filter groups so you can get exactly what it is that you're looking for that section. Does that seem like something that would be easy to use and easy to customize?
I'm going to chime in. It does.
Wonderful. So yeah, it does. It's very easy to manage, change, and update. And everywhere you see a gear, you're going to have those options. So this corner here in the top left, those are going to be similar from machine to machine, and this is going to give you an easy workflow, but then you have these custom options surrounding it so that you can get to changing those quickly, easily, and efficiently. Okay, so we're going to move right along to the budgets. So when you're working on some projects, you may want to compare your firm's current hours, fees, and cost against a projected forecast. So at any time during the billing system, the budgeting feature can help you better understand how your firm is doing. So if I come to the top, I'm going to name and budgets. And since we just move away from navigation options, I do want to note that navigation from the menu is always going to be the same from computer to computer. So if you are on a brand new machine, new install, and you're not sure, you can't find your original layout, you can always use the menu options across the top, because those are going to always be the same from machine to machine. So now that we're in here in budgets, I'm going to go ahead and show you the budgeting options. I have a few set up currently, but when you're selecting for a new budget, it's very simplistic, easy setup. So if it's for the firm, You could just leave that setting for firm. And then you can also select individual groups to have. Right now, I don't have any groups, so it's going to be a quick, easy setup. And then I can quickly set up what's my date range for this particular budget, as well as any hours that are going to be associated with it, how much I think I'm going to have in fees, and how much I'm going to have in expenses or costs. And then as we move throughout the process, it will then calculate just how much time we actually have in that budget. So let's go back. You're going to notice when we're originally setting up our budget, we have multiple options for the type of budget we can select. We can create a client budget. We can create a timekeeper budget. And this is going to be assigning a budget for a particular individual user of Timeslips. And you can also do a budget by task as well as by the individual expense. Most commonly, people set budgets for an individual client. You can set as many or as few as you would like. So if you just have one particular client that you're going to watch or you're going to manage and have need a projected amount that they're going to utilize, you may have it set for client. And then I can quickly say if this is going to have a breakdown, how you want this budget to be distributed. Am I going to have it broken down by the individual timekeeper, task, or if they utilize any references, you can also use that as well. So your budget options are going to be pretty vast, so you can make sure that you're able to see a budget for the individual information that you're selecting. Right now, I'm going to have no breakdown. It's just going to be the raw information for overall the totality for their hours during a particular date range. So very simple, easy setup. You just are going to select the options that you need. So I'm going to cancel out of that so we can go to some of the budgets that I already have preset. You can see here on this screen, it's showing me where I am as far as my total hours. I have a budget set for 20, and this is going to be for the firm here. I have 20 hours budgeted. I've billed 15. And then I have additional work in progress. So it's showing me my work in progress as well as my actuals. So you get to see an understanding of exactly where you are as far as your budgets. This one is at 99% because we're reaching that threshold. And what's in the red? It's showing us that we've gone over budget. Now, this was a very small budget, but we have gone over because our actuals are showing 8 hours and 8 hours, 0.20. So I am over my budget by 2.5%. So this is going to give you a nice, easy view of so you can make sure that you have correctly seen any of those projected budgets just at once. And you do have options of seeing just what's over budget or under budget so that you can get a quick view, because you are able to have multiple budgets. As you see here, I have many budgets. Some are set up for the individual client, while I do also have a firm, and I also have a timekeeper budget. Whoa, this timekeeper is way over budget. I can correct these budgets because this may have been created accidentally with a wrong budget amount, because 10, that's a pretty low budget for an individual. But I do have the ability of making any edits, corrections, if I do run into a situation like that. Do you have any questions for me, Tani?
I have one, and that is, I'm a paper person, so if I needed to print this information, could I?
Absolutely. So you have multiple reports that are designed just for the budget. So that information can be printed easily from a budget report. So depending on the type of budget you've created, that's going to get you the type of, you're going to look for the budget that you need. So I have a firm budget, and that will give me a full printout on a report for those individual budgets. And as you see, you have options.
So many options, I love it.
Yeah, so we can make sure that you get exactly what it is you're looking for. And I'm a paper girl too. I love having something tangible. And with us having over 140 different reports, and the budgeting is just a small portion of our reports, and I can pull them easy. Just looking at the all reports option, I'm able to pull that budget information quickly.
Hey, Desi, we have another question on reporting. Someone, Charles, is asking, can I get an AR report by timekeeper?
Yes, absolutely. So our reports, you have options of how you're actually pulling the information. So if I go to an AR transaction list, which is going to be one of our most commonly used report, I can add that information as far as how it sorts, how it subtotals. And if I need to do a deep dive or I have particular information that I would like on it, I would definitely say reach out to your support team. Your support team is going to be able to tell you exactly what report you want to look for and exactly what options you have for reports. You have tons of reports depending on how you want to get the information. You tell us, you come to support, we can tell you how to get the information out. So let's move right into our slip triggers and replacement slips. When you're creating slips, some tasks or expenses, they always happen together. So for example, if I'm entering in time for, let's say, a court appearance, I may typically enter in an expense slip for mileage. So I can create a slip trigger that will automatically create a new slip after saving a slip for a specific task or expense. I'm going to show you initially how to set that up. If I come to our top 2 slips, you're going to notice I have an option for slip triggers. I've already set one up for us. It's going to be for a peer and attendant. And how this is set up is you're able to select the individual task. Here, for this example, we're using a peer for. And you do have options if this is only going to be limited to particular timekeepers, because maybe you don't want this to trigger for everyone, or you just want to create triggers just for yourself. Or you can also do this for clients. You can place it for all clients or just for some clients. And you can then tell it what action to create. You can do that for a task or for an expense. For this example, I've done it for an expense, which is mileage. So let's go ahead and select that on our slip to see what that looks like. So I'm going to select myself as well as a client, and then I have a task. Appear and attend. Once I save this slip, you notice that it is asking me, do you want to create a new slip for mileage? Automatically, so that I don't have to remember. This is going to save you a lot of aggravation and frustration where you may say, yes, I've done this particular task, but is there something else that I need to do? This sets it up so that you don't have to remember that particular information. Now you can automatically create that slip, placing in any start time, end time, depends on the initial setup that you have selected. And then I can save that as well. Let me go ahead and place in my amount. I'll say that I did 80 miles, and that calculated for me. And now I can save that slip. So it's created those 2 slips for me without me having to remember. All right, so if I am creating a replacement slip, now a replacement slip is going to be beneficial because you can use a replacement slip rule to choose which slips will be replaced on a bill. So for instance, I've created a client. Let's go to my slip list. We're going to show this just by a particular client. His name is slip replacement. Slip replacement has a number of slips entered in for an identical task. So this identical task, I have multiple slips. I have 5 currently. If I generate a bill for this client, they're going to pull each individual slip. But with utilizing replacement slips, what I can do is I can set that, rather than showing all of these slips one by one, I've now combined all of those slips into one item on our bill, so that it doesn't display all of those repeating redundant tasks. It selects that as an individual line item. So this is a cleaner, more efficient way. If you have repetitive tasks that show, this is going to save a lot of space on your bill, as well as aggravation. And it's very easy to set up. If I come to the top to my slip and I have replacement slips, I'm able to select the client, and then I can select what it is that I'm replacing them for. So once I open this up, very simple setup. You select your client as well as the activity and what you would like for it to show on the slip. I just simply placed in combining all time so that you're able to see that this is a combination of all of those slips. Does that seem pretty simple, Tani?
It does. I do have a question. I love how powerful this is, but will this affect other clients when I do something like this?
These rules are associated with a specific client. So the rules that you set up for this client will not affect the others. And you can create as many as you would like for as many clients as you would like.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. All right. So our next stop is going to be calendars. So when we're talking about our calendars, calendars are quick and easy to view as well as make appointments. You're going to see here, I'm going to create just a brand new appointment we have for today. I can enter in my subject. Utilizing this calendar always helps if I spell everything correct. And it's going to allow me to select the individual attendees. I can receive a little reminder to tell me prior to the meeting that this has to get going. It's set by default to 15 minutes before the meeting. I can also invite I can list any other attendees. But one of the most powerful things that it has the ability of doing is also slip creation. So if I would like to make this a billable task, I can just select the individual client. If that client is associated with any references that I'd like to associate this with, as well as a task. I can say this was about budgeting. And once I create this, you're going to notice that there's a few options that I'm able to select. Of course, the times. It's going to default to the next 30-minute interval. And you can also change this. It can do past dates as well. I can say if it's going to be something that's private. If it's selected as being private, it's not going to show for others in the system. But the key is selecting it for a slip creation, and I'm able to create a slip from this transaction. So if I select to save and close, it's going to give me those reminders that I'm looking for, as well as creating a slip for me. It's going to let me know that I want to save this meeting, and it's pulled that information and saying that this is now a chargeable amount. You'll see it's defaulting to my 30 minutes that I have set. It's giving me the time that it starts, as well as it pulled over the information that I have selected in there for the slip. So this is very quick, easy setup, and it does allow you to share those calendars so you can see a number of timekeepers' information as long as that event isn't scheduled for private. I'm going to jump into our last feature that we're going to talk about today, which is LawPay. So LawPay is an integration that is going to allow you to get paid faster. We all want to get paid faster. You are able to place a link for the bill that will allow the client, when you email your bills out, they'll be able to select the link. It's going to be a custom link that will allow them to pay their invoice, create a payment immediately. Once they create that payment, what happens? It's going to create a transaction here inside of Timeslips. So once that is created, I'm going to select this top one here. So this is a payment that we can select for. You notice anything about this particular payment, Tani?
Yes, actually, it's very large. Can they pay for more than one invoice?
I am so glad you asked that. So absolutely. So you're going to notice all of these payments have pulled from LawPay. It sees when one of those bills has been paid. Anytime someone creates a payment, it's going to sync that info into Timeslips. And when I select to create payments, I have the ability of paying all of those invoices at once if I need to. So I can just select to apply that large amount to all of their invoices, as well as if they have a remaining amount, I can tell the program where to transfer that amount to. I can tell it to place that amount into our client funds, or they can apply it to a future invoice as well. So you have a lot of options as far as when you create your payment, as well as where it applies. So this benefit is going to be, you're going to get paid faster, and it's going to be more efficient. Everyone loves something that's easy and quick to do.
For sure. Hey, Desi, I know that LawPay has other verticals. Can you use, for instance, CPA Pay?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm glad you asked that. You are not restricted to just utilizing LawPay. Any of the products that are under AffiniPay, you do have the ability of linking with any of those. So CPA Pay is going to be easy and quick. And what that does is going to change any of the naming conventions that you generally use. So you'll see the CPA versus, you'll see CPA pay versus law pay and any of the naming conventions that go along with it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. All right, so now, are there any questions, comments, concerns, and criticism? I welcome it all.
There is a question that came in that someone is looking to understand how to enter a budget by total amount, not broken down by hours or expense.
I would definitely have the individual reach out to support, because that's going to be something that we want to tackle with you one by one to give you the options, because we are creeping up on just 1 minute remaining.
Yep.
But definitely reaching out to support. You can utilize that via live chat. If you're inside of your software, you're just going to go to your top menu option. That's going to be the last one across the top. Live chat, that's going to open up a window for you. That's going to be sagetimeslips.com/peg, where you're able to chat with a representative live. Anytime 9 to 7, we're available and we'll be able to assist you. And I'm sorry, that's Eastern time.
That's helpful. Thank you, Desi. And then one more question, if we can squeeze it in. And are there limits to how many slip triggers we can create?
Oh no, create slip triggers to your heart's desire.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, that is the end of our session, unless there are any other questions. I know we're coming to time, but Desi, thank you for clicking on this resource page. And again, this is a handout for everyone today. So there is on your dashboard, there is a little drop down for handout. And this one-page handout has clickable links in it to help you navigate through some of the resources that Desi referred to today, and some that maybe we didn't refer to. There's a load of resources to be had. And the one that I really want everyone to notice is that the very top, take advantage of custom training. Did you know this existed? It's actually included with Sage Timeslips Premium subscription. So there are 2 custom 1-hour training sessions where you can review the topic of your choice. So for whoever asked that one, in addition to reaching out to support, you can schedule this session with an expert too, and the links are clickable. The other thing that I highly suggest is, one, that you download the latest version of Sage Timeslips release so you can get the most benefit. That is our last link on that page. And then also just make sure you're part of the Sage Community Hub. If you're not familiar with that, what that is exactly what it sounds like. It's a community of users. There's also partners and colleagues out there. Create a profile. It's free, it's easy, and turn on notifications in your Timeslips Premium announcements forum, and there's a click to there so that you can receive the latest release updates and tips on Timeslips. So those are great resources, and there's a ton of other, and I hope you find that helpful. Desi, thank you so much for your time today and for demoing everything. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you are most welcome. And I want to thank everyone for joining. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you do have any more questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you again.
Thank you.